Okay, this is just a short recording to cover section 3.3 on page 15, and it goes on up to page 19 and the beginning of section 3.4. Just a slight correction. I think at the end of the last video, I forgot to put in y equals 1 for to record the correct answer. So I'll just quickly go back and show you how to do that before moving on. So to make sure, just double click on slide and make sure that you have selected slide here and go into the properties page, then click duration, and here on the correct answer is y. So we have allowable y, yes and no, y and n, and correct should read y. Click apply and OK. And then if you run the program now and look at your eDataAid file, what you'll find under ACC is that it should be now set to 1 if you press the Y button, that is. So now I'll just move on. So I suppose the first thing is to note that we want to really collect a lot more data than just having one question. We want a whole series of questions. And the most efficient way to do this is to create a list of questions, and each question presented on the screen one after the other in continuous slides. And we also want to present them in a random order so that each participant who sits down at your experiment will not answer the questions in the same sequence. And this has important implications for the method, that it's so there could be a confounding variable there if a particular sequence of questions led to a kind of a predictable outcome. So you need to have this randomization, which is really important in collecting data. So I suppose let's see how we could do this. Now, first of all, what we have at the moment is we have one slide, and I suppose we could add, if we wanted more questions, we have one slide, it has one question, and we could just add in here in the middle, we could have a whole series of slides, 20, 30, 40, 50, but then that would be kind of endless and very annoyingly long-winded. So, so the way to do this is by introducing a list and then telling the program to just go in and do all the display all the questions in the list, and rather than having just a whole sequence of events. So we'll introduce the list first of all. I'll drag it over here. So now you have your list. So the first thing we want to do is just double click and open this list. Now within the list you see that you only have one row, so we still have nothing much to talk about. But with a new list we need to introduce a new procedure. Now we have our main procedure here, session proc, and we need to introduce a new procedure which will present each one of our slides one after the other. So what we'll do here is we'll call this the stimulus procedure, because the purpose of this procedure is to present all the different stimuli. So we'll call it a stim proc. Okay, and if you just click to one side anywhere at all, just click it here, it'll come up and ask you, it'll say stimproc does not exist, you want to create, so we say yes, and would you like to make this, and we click yes again. So now you have your list set up, and you'll see here that you have a new procedure set up. So we have our main procedure here, we have instructions, then we have this procedure which will be a list, and you'll go round and around and around, present them one after the other until eventually you come to the end. Just note that we also now have the 1 second pause, and we have the slide, and we don't have these in here, so we need to put this, because this is really what we want to present. And of course we still want to have thanks. So let's see how we do that. So the first thing we do is we open our procedure. We just shift it down here and make it line them up a little bit. What we want in our list is we want our pause and we want our slide. At the moment we only have the one slide in the list, but nonetheless we can add to our list, we can extend that, but for the moment it's just one. Now that we have that there, we don't really need to have an extra one at the end. We'll have instructions list, and within this procedure we'll present them row after one after the other, a pause, a pause, a slide, and so on until we come to the end, and then we'll just have the thanks. So let's just delete these two because we don't really need them anymore. Okay, so basically now we have our list set up, and that's a useful little piece of a few changes. So I suppose the main thing now is just to save this. So save it as we call it MiniLogic 3, and now we can close that. So